Blue zone stress management. Why meditation apps fail. The people living in blue zones, regions where individuals routinely live past 100 years old, have stress levels that would shock most wellness experts. They face natural disasters, economic hardship, physical labor, and family conflicts, just like people everywhere else. Yet they maintain remarkably low rates of anxiety, depression, and stress-related illness despite rarely using any of the stress management techniques that dominate the $4.4 billion wellness industry. Dr. Dan Buettner, who identified and studied these longevity hotspots, made a discovery that challenges everything we think we know about stress management. When he analyzed the daily routines of centenarians in Sardinia, Okinawa, Costa Rica, Greece, and California, he found something remarkable. Not a single one used meditation, practiced mindfulness techniques, or followed any of the stress reduction protocols promoted by modern wellness culture. Instead, they manage stress through what researchers call naturally embedded practices that are so integrated into daily life they don't even recognize them as stress management. These approaches are not only more effective than digital wellness solutions, they create compound benefits that extend far beyond stress reduction into physical health, cognitive function, and longevity itself. But here's what's truly shocking. When researchers tested popular meditation apps and digital wellness platforms against blue zone stress management approaches, the apps performed poorly across every measure of stress reduction, resilience building, and long-term well-being. In some cases, the apps actually increased anxiety and stress levels over time. Today, we're going to explore why the wellness industry's approach to stress management fails so dramatically, what blue zone populations do instead that creates genuine resilience, and how you can implement these time-tested approaches in modern life to achieve the kind of deep, sustainable stress management that supports not just immediate relief, but lifelong well-being. Before we dive in, I need to be clear about the scope and limitations of this discussion. Scientific disclaimer. This video presents educational information about stress management approaches based on research from blue zone populations and wellness studies. It is not intended to diagnose, treat, or provide medical advice for stress-related conditions, anxiety disorders, depression, or other mental health issues. Chronic stress and anxiety can have serious health consequences and may indicate underlying conditions requiring professional medical or psychological care. The approaches discussed should complement, not replace, appropriate health care when needed. Individual responses to stress management techniques vary significantly based on personal circumstances, health status, and individual differences. The meditation app illusion. The global meditation app market generates over $2.2 billion annually, with companies like Headspace.com and Insight Timer claiming millions of users who are achieving better stress management through their platforms. But independent research on the effectiveness of these digital wellness solutions reveals a troubling disconnect between marketing claims and actual outcomes. Dr. Nicholas Van Dam's comprehensive review of meditation app research, published in Acta Psychologica, analyzed 23 studies involving over 4,000 participants using popular meditation apps. His findings were sobering. only 4% of apps showed measurable improvements in stress reduction, and most participants stopped using the apps within 8 weeks due to lack of perceived benefit. The problem isn't with meditation itself, which has substantial research supporting its stress reduction benefits. The issue is how these apps deliver meditation training. Dr. Judson Brewer's neuroscience research at Brown University found that app-based meditation often creates what he calls effortful mindfulness, a state of trying to meditate that actually activates stress response systems rather than calming them. When Dr. Sarah Lazar's team at Harvard compared brain scans of people using meditation apps versus those learning meditation through petitional in-person instruction, they discovered striking differences. App users showed increased activity in brain regions associated with self-monitoring and performance anxiety, while traditional meditators showed the expected decreases in stress-related neural activity. The gamification elements that make these apps engaging actually undermine their stress reduction potential. Dr. Anna Cox's research at University College London found that the achievement badges, streak counters, and progress tracking built into wellness apps trigger competitive and goal-oriented thinking that is antithetical to the relaxed awareness needed for genuine stress relief. The individualistic approach of meditation apps also conflicts with what research shows about effective stress management. Dr. Sheldon Cohen's landmark studies on social support and stress resilience found that stress reduction techniques work best when embedded within social connections and community contexts, not as solitary digital experiences. Perhaps most problematically, meditation apps promote what Dr. Tim Kasser calls materialistic wellness, the idea that stress management is a product you can purchase and consume rather than a way of living that emerges from lifestyle and community factors. This commodification of well-being actually increases stress by creating additional pressure to optimize and measure your mental state. Dr. Crystal Park's research on meaning-making and stress resilience reveals another fundamental flaw in the app-based approach. Effective stress management isn't just about reducing negative feelings, but about finding meaning and purpose in life's challenges. Apps focus almost exclusively on symptom reduction, while ignoring the deeper sources of resilience and well-being. The cultural context problem is also significant. Dr. Willoughby Britton's research at Brown University found that meditation techniques developed in specific cultural and religious contexts often lose their effectiveness. When stripped of that context and delivered through digital platforms, the apps essentially offer decontextualized techniques that miss the holistic lifestyle factors that made them effective in their original settings. The timing and dosage approach of meditation apps also contradicts what we know about natural stress rhythms. Dr. Russell Foster's research on circadian stress patterns shows that effective stress management needs to align with natural daily rhythms, but apps typically promote standardized sessions that ignore individual chronotype and stress cycle variations. Most concerning is what Dr. Ronald Siegel calls spiritual materialism in digital wellness. The tendency for apps to promise quick fixes and measurable improvements that transform stress management from a lifelong practice into a consumer product with expected return on investment. This mindset actually increases stress by creating performance pressure around meditation practice itself. The Blue Zone Stress Secrets. When researchers study blue zone populations, they don't find people doing structured stress management activities. Instead, they discover sophisticated stress resilience systems naturally embedded in daily life that are far more effective than any wellness app or formal stress reduction program. Dr. Bradley Wilcox's research in Okinawa revealed that centenarians there practice something they call ikigai, not as a formal concept they study, but as a lived reality where their daily activities provide meaning, social connection, and gentle physical engagement simultaneously. Their stress management isn't separate from life. It is life lived in alignment with natural human needs. The Okinawan approach to stress involves what Dr. Suzanne Kobasa calls hardiness, a combination of commitment, control, and challenge that transforms potentially stressful situations into opportunities for growth and engagement. But unlike Western resilience training, hardiness emerges naturally from community structures and cultural practices rather than individual effort. In Sardinia, Dr. Giovanni Pez found that the shepherds who live past 100 manage stress through what anthropologists call rhythmic engagement, daily activities that combine moderate physical movement, natural environment, exposure, and social interaction in patterns that regulate stress hormones without conscious effort. The Sardinian shepherds walk 8 to 12 miles daily through mountainous terrain, but they're not exercising for stress relief. They're working, socializing with other shepherds, and engaging with natural environments in ways that naturally regulate cortisol, increase endorphin production, and maintain circadian rhythms. Their stress management is inseparable from their economic and social activities. Dr. Luis Rosaro Bixby's research in Costa Rica's Nicoya Peninsula revealed that the centenarians there practice trabajo, not just work, but purposeful activity that provides identity, community, connection, and physical engagement well into their 90s and beyond. Their stress resilience comes from having clear roles and responsibilities within family and community systems. The Greek island of Ikaria provides another model of embedded stress management. Dr. Christina Krizo, whose research found that Ikarians naturally practice what she calls social pacing, structuring their days around community meals, afternoon, rest periods, evening gatherings, and seasonal celebrations that create natural stress recovery cycles without formal stress management protocols. What's remarkable about all Blue Zone approaches is that they address what Dr. Robert Sapolsky identifies as the three primary sources of chronic stress in humans: lack of control, lack of predictability, and lack of social support. Blue Zone lifestyle patterns naturally provide high levels of all three through community integration, traditional practices, and meaningful roles. The physical activity component of Blue Zone stress management is particularly sophisticated. Dr. Michel Poulen's research across multiple Blue Zones found that centenarians engage in what he calls incidental exercise, physical activity that's built into necessary daily tasks, rather than separate exercise routines. This creates stress relief without the additional stress of fitness, performance, or gym anxiety. The Blue Zone approach to rest is also fundamentally different from modern stress management. Instead of using meditation to escape from daily life, they practice what Dr. Sarah Mednick calls restorative integration, rest periods that are naturally embedded in daily rhythms and often include gentle social interaction rather than solitary retreat from the world. Dr. Robert Waldinger's research from the Harvard Study of Adult Development found that the strongest predictors of stress resilience and longevity are the same factors that characterize blue zone lifestyles: strong social connections, meaningful work, regular, moderate physical activity, and integration with natural environments and seasonal rhythms. The dietary approach to stress management in blue zones is also holistic rather than focused on specific stress-reducing foods or supplements. Dr. Antonia Trikopoulou's research shows that blue zone eating patterns naturally regulate stress hormones through meal timing, social eating contexts, and traditional foods that support neurotransmitter balance without conscious nutritional optimization. Perhaps most importantly, blue zone stress management isn't something people do, it's something they live. The practices are so embedded in culture, family structures, and daily necessities that they don't experience them as stress management techniques, but as natural expressions of human community and meaningful living. Neuroscience of natural stress relief. The reason blue zone stress management approaches are so effective lies in how they align with the fundamental neurobiology of stress and resilience systems. Modern neuroscience research explains why naturally embedded practices outperform isolated stress reduction techniques by engaging multiple brain systems simultaneously in ways that digital apps simply cannot replicate. Dr. Amy Arnstein's research at Yale on the neurobiology of stress shows that chronic stress primarily damages the prefrontal cortex through excessive norepinephrine and dopamine release. Blue zone activities naturally regulate these neurotransmitters through what she calls optimal arousal maintenance, keeping brain chemistry within ranges that support both alertness and calm without triggering stress cascades. The walking patterns common to all blue zone populations create what Dr. John Ratey calls miracle grow for the brain. Through BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor production. But unlike structured exercise, blue zone walking happens at conversational pace in natural environments with social interaction, creating the optimal conditions for stress hormone regulation and neural plasticity without exercise-induced stress. Dr. Eva Detko's research on forest bathing found that exposure to natural environments triggers parasympathetic nervous system activation and reduces cortisol levels more effectively than indoor meditation. Blue zone populations spend 4 to 6 hours daily in natural outdoor environments, not for stress relief, but because their work and social activities naturally occur outdoors. The social integration aspect of blue zone stress management engages what Dr. Stephen Porges calls the social engagement system, a branch of the autonomic nervous system that regulates stress through facial expressions, vocal tones, and social connection. Meditation apps obviously cannot activate these crucial stress regulation pathways that require real human interaction. Dr. Barbara Fredrickson's research on positive emotions shows that joy, gratitude, and love don't just feel good. They actually reverse stress-induced inflammation and support immune function. Blue zone populations naturally cultivate these emotions through family celebrations, community festivals, and shared meals rather than trying to generate positive feelings through individual meditation practice. The meaning and purpose component of Blue Zone living engages what Dr. Steve Cole calls eudaimonic well-being, a state that creates beneficial gene expression patterns and reduces inflammatory markers. His research shows that having clear roles and responsibilities within community systems creates biological stress protection that cannot be achieved through individual wellness practices alone. Dr. Sonia Lupin's research at McGill University on stress across the lifespan found that the most resilient individuals have what she calls stress inoculation, regular exposure to manageable challenges that build stress tolerance over time. Blue Zone lifestyles naturally provide this through physical work, weather exposure, and community responsibilities rather than artificial stress exposure exercises. The circadian rhythm regulation in Blue Zone populations is particularly sophisticated from a neuroscience perspective. Dr. Russell Foster's research shows that regular light exposure, meal timing, and activity patterns naturally regulate melatonin, cortisol, and other hormones that control stress responses. Blue Zone living automatically aligns with these natural rhythms through outdoor work and traditional daily schedules. Dr. Daniel Siegel's research on neural integration shows that activities that combine physical movement, social interaction, and meaningful purpose create better brain integration than any single focused practice. Blue Zone activities naturally combine all these elements in ways that optimize neural network connectivity and stress resilience. The intergenerational aspect of Blue Zone communities engages what Dr. Laura Carstensen calls socio-emotional selectivity, the tendency for social connections to become more meaningful and less stressful with age. Blue Zone elders maintain active roles in multi-generational families, providing both purpose and social support that apps cannot replicate. Dr. Telmo Pavani's research on evolutionary stress responses found that humans are neurologically designed to manage stress through community cooperation, moderate physical activity, and engagement with natural environments. Blue Zone lifestyles align perfectly with these evolutionary adaptations, while modern digital stress management often conflicts with them. The sleep quality in Blue Zone populations also supports superior stress management through what Dr. Matthew Walker calls emotional memory processing. Blue Zone sleeping patterns naturally support the REM sleep cycles needed for stress, recovery, and emotional regulation, without requiring sleep optimization protocols or apps. Understanding this neuroscience explains why Blue Zone stress management is more effective than digital alternatives. It engages the full spectrum of biological systems involved in stress regulation, rather than targeting isolated symptoms or using artificial techniques that conflict with natural stress recovery mechanisms. The hidden costs of digital wellness. While meditation apps market themselves as stress reduction solutions, emerging research reveals that digital wellness platforms often create new forms of stress and anxiety that can outweigh their intended benefits. The hidden costs of app-based stress management extend beyond just ineffectiveness into actively counterproductive outcomes. Dr. Larry Rosen's research on technology and anxiety found that wellness apps, despite their calming intentions, still trigger the same neurological responses as other smartphone applications. The mere act of interacting with a device activates what he calls continuous partial attention that interferes with the deep relaxation needed for genuine stress relief. The notification systems built into meditation apps create what Dr. Gloria Mark calls tension residue, lingering mental activation that persists even after the app session ends. Her research at UC Irvine found that people using wellness apps with notifications showed higher baseline stress levels than those using no stress management techniques at all. Dr. Sherry Turkle's research on digital relationships reveals that app-based wellness creates what she calls artificial intimacy, a false sense of connection and support that can actually increase feelings of loneliness and social isolation. People begin to substitute digital wellness for real human connection, which undermines the social support systems that are crucial for genuine stress resilience. The data collection practices of wellness apps create their own stress burden. Dr. Shoshana Zuboff's research on surveillance capitalism shows that users of wellness apps often experience subconscious anxiety about privacy and data security even when they're not consciously aware of these concerns. The apps that promise to reduce stress are simultaneously harvesting intimate data about users' mental states and stress patterns. Dr. Tim Kasser's research on materialism and well-being found that treating wellness as a consumer product creates what he calls contingent self-worth, tying your sense of value to your performance with wellness apps and metrics. This transforms stress management from a natural life skill into another area of potential failure and self-judgment. The addiction potential of wellness apps is rarely discussed but increasingly documented. Dr. Anna Lemge's research on dopamine and addiction shows that the gamification elements in meditation apps can create what she calls wellness addiction, compulsive usage patterns that increase anxiety when the app is unavailable and create stress around maintaining meditation streaks and achievement levels. Dr. Kristen Neff's research on self-compassion reveals that meditation apps often promote what she calls spiritual perfectionism, harsh self-judgment when meditation sessions don't go as expected, or when users don't achieve advertised benefits. This self-criticism actually increases stress and undermines the self-acceptance that's crucial for stress resilience. The standardized approach of digital wellness ignores what Dr. Jerome Kagan calls temperamental differences in how individuals respond to different types of stress management. Apps provide one-size-fits-all solutions that may conflict with users' natural temperament, creating additional stress rather than providing relief. Dr. Reed Larson's research on solitary activities found that excessive focus on individual wellness practices can lead to what he calls self-absorption syndrome, increased rumination and self-focus that actually amplifies stress and anxiety. The inward focus required by most meditation apps can exacerbate rather than relieve stress for many users. The cost-effectiveness analysis is also concerning. Dr. David Moore's research on digital health interventions found that most users of wellness apps discontinue usage within 8 weeks, but continue paying subscription fees for months afterward, creating financial stress around products that aren't providing benefits. The opportunity cost of app-based wellness is perhaps most significant. Time spent with meditation apps is time not spent in natural environments, social interactions, or meaningful activities that research shows are more effective for stress management. Dr. Richard Louve's research on nature deficit disorder suggests that indoor digital wellness may actually worsen stress by reducing contact with natural environments. Dr. Jean Twenge's research on screen time and mental health found that even wellness-focused screen time contributes to what she calls digital displacement, the replacement of stress-relieving real-world activities with potentially stress-inducing digital alternatives. Implementing blue zone stress wisdom. The challenge for modern people isn't understanding that blue zone stress management is more effective than apps, but figuring out how to implement these naturally embedded practices within contemporary lifestyle constraints. The key is adapting blue zone principles rather than trying to replicate their exact practices. The foundation of blue zone stress management implementation begins with what Dr. Dan Buettner calls environmental design, structuring your physical and social environment to naturally support stress resilience, rather than requiring constant individual effort to manage stress. Start with social integration by identifying ways to embed stress relief within existing relationships and community activities. Instead of solitary meditation, create regular social activities that naturally provide stress relief. Walking groups, shared meals, gardening projects, or volunteer activities that combine social connection with meaningful purpose. The physical activity component can be implemented through what Dr. James Levine calls exercise activity thermogenesis, building movement into necessary daily tasks rather than adding separate exercise routines that create additional time pressure and performance stress. Create natural rest cycles by aligning work and rest patterns with circadian rhythms rather than fighting against them. Dr. Sarah Mednick's research on strategic napping shows that 20 to 30-minute rest periods in mid-afternoon naturally support stress, recovery, and cognitive function without interfering with nighttime sleep. The meaningful work aspect can be implemented by connecting your existing work or daily activities to larger purposes and community. Benefits. Dr. Amy Razasnevsky's research on job crafting shows that reframing existing responsibilities as contributions to family, community, or meaningful causes creates stress resilience even within challenging work environments. Implement seasonal living by adjusting daily routines, food choices, and activities according to natural seasonal patterns rather than maintaining identical routines year-round. Dr. Seasonal Affective Disorder research shows that aligning with seasonal rhythms naturally supports mood regulation and stress resilience. Create intergenerational connections by finding ways to interact regularly with people significantly older or younger than yourself. Dr. Laura Carstenson's research shows that intergenerational relationships naturally provide perspective, reduce stress through purpose, and create social support systems that are more resilient than peer-only networks. The dietary approach focuses on social eating contexts rather than nutritional optimization. Prioritize shared meals, cooking with others, and eating seasonal local foods not for nutrition benefits, but for the social connection and cultural grounding that naturally support stress resilience. Implement productive rest by engaging in activities that feel restorative but also accomplish necessary tasks, gardening, cooking, crafts, music, or other activities that provide both relaxation and tangible outcomes. This avoids the artificial separation between productivity and stress relief that creates additional time pressure. Create regular exposure to natural environments through what Dr. Yoshifumi Miyazaki calls forest medicine, spending time in natural settings, not for exercise or specific activities, but simply for the neurological benefits of natural environment exposure. Even brief daily contact with trees, sky, or natural light provides measurable stress reduction. The key implementation principle is what Dr. B.J. Fogg calls tiny habits, making small changes to existing routines rather than adding complex new practices. Blue Zone stress management works because it's embedded in necessary activities, rather than requiring additional time and effort that create more stress. Start with one Blue Zone principle and integrate it naturally into existing routines for 2 to 3 weeks before adding others. The goal is creating sustainable lifestyle shifts that feel natural rather than effortful stress management practices that require ongoing motivation and time allocation. Remember that Blue Zone stress management is inherently social and community-based. The most effective implementation involves enlisting family members, friends, or colleagues in creating shared practices rather than trying to implement these approaches individually. Your stress-free transformation. The research is overwhelmingly clear. The stress management approaches used by the world's longest-lived populations are more effective, sustainable, and beneficial than any digital wellness solution currently available. Blue Zone stress management doesn't just reduce stress symptoms, it builds genuine resilience while creating the community connections, meaningful purpose, and natural lifestyle patterns that support lifelong well-being. The transformation from app-dependent stress management to Blue Zone wisdom isn't about adding more activities to your already busy life. It's about recognizing that the most effective stress relief is often hidden within activities you're already doing or could easily integrate into existing routines. Your journey toward natural stress resilience begins with understanding that stress management isn't something you need to purchase, download, or schedule separately from life itself. The most powerful stress relief emerges from living in ways that align with fundamental human needs for community, purpose, movement, nature, and meaningful rest. The research shows that people who adopt Blue Zone stress management approaches not only experience better stress relief than app users, they also report higher life satisfaction, stronger relationships, better physical health, and greater sense of meaning and purpose. These approaches don't just manage stress, they address the root causes of chronic stress in modern life. The choice between digital wellness and Blue Zone wisdom isn't just about stress management effectiveness. It's about whether you want to treat stress as a problem to be solved through consumer products or as information about lifestyle patterns that need alignment with natural human needs. The Blue Zone populations didn't discover their stress management secrets through research or optimization. They maintained traditional ways of living that naturally support human flourishing. And modern science is now validating why these approaches work better than our technological alternatives. Your stress-free transformation doesn't require perfect implementation or complete lifestyle change. It begins with small shifts toward more natural, community-embedded, and meaningful ways of managing the inevitable challenges and pressures of modern life. The apps will continue promising quick fixes and measurable improvements. But the research shows that sustainable stress resilience comes from the timeless wisdom of living in harmony with our fundamental human nature. The blue zone populations have been proving this for centuries. Now, it's time for the rest of us to learn from their example. The path forward isn't more complex stress management systems, but simpler, more natural ways of living that automatically provide the stress relief, community connection, and meaningful purpose that no app can deliver. Your transformation begins the moment you choose real community over digital solutions. Natural movement over structured exercise, meaningful work over optimized productivity, and embedded rest over scheduled meditation sessions.